What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. I want to say this about Poetic Flacko, okay? And usually I don't go this direction with the lowbrow individuals on social media like this. But Poetic Flacko is a special case because I think it helped me bolster a point, right, that I want to make. And so Poetic Flacko, y'all have heard me before. I've talked about Poetic Flacko and what I think about him. I think he's a parasite in the black community, right? And I thought he was a parasite in the black community because he was the recruiter for Adam 22, the white supremacist, the white guy who takes advantage of black people, and he promotes the most degenerate portions of African American culture, the most degenerate. And he made millions off of it, right? And people like Vlad and all these white folks who like to dip their toe in the black community only to take the money out, but they don't really do anything for the black community. And I saw this dude that people kept talking about, Flacko, and Flacko was the recruiter. He will go and find the most ridiculous African American, and he will recruit them to go on the show and embarrass themselves and embarrass the entire African American community, right? Now, Poetic Flacko is from Liberia. Now, I know Liberia is a African American country. It is. It's a country that African Americans were sent to, for a while. It's a country we founded, along with other indigenous Africans, which was a very tumultuous situation there, for a time there. But for all intents and purposes, Poetic Flacko ancestry was brought over here during the transatlantic slave trade, probably from Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, Benin, and then his ancestors moved to Liberia, right, and became the Liberians, right? Or he may have been one of the local Liberians who were there when the African Americans were brought there. But for all intents and purposes, Poetic Flacko is a continental African. And what he decided to do is come to America and to make money, to dive into the lowest portions of the African American community and partner with a white supremacist who takes advantage of black people. That's where I had a problem with Poetic Flacko. And if you look at his personality, Poetic Flacko sounds fake. He sounds fake. He doesn't sound genuine. He doesn't sound authentic, right? You could tell that no matter what topic it is, he doesn't actually care. He just wants to make money. And he is actively grifting the African American community right now. Just because he made a few dollars off Chud the builder, he tried to grift people into, hey, this is how I made $100 and something thousand a month by talking about Chud the builder, right? Grifting unsuspecting content creators who think that they can do the same thing. So he's an active predator. He's an active scammer, right? And his aura is off. If you feel Poetic Flacko aura is off. He's not one of us. You understand what I'm saying? He's not one of us. Even though he's a black guy, he's an African, he's not one of us. Because all his content is negative black content. He doesn't say anything positive about the black community. He doesn't do anything positive with the black community. He doesn't promote anything positive about the black community. He is a person who has attached himself to the African American community and started to monetize on the lowest elements of the African American community. He's the enemy. I've always viewed Poetic Flacko as the enemy. Now, I'm not upset that FBA, even though, I know what I think about FBA. But what FBA has to say about Poetic Flacko, I gotta agree with. I don't agree with the term tethers and all that stuff and all that. Treating Sheet is obviously he's another grifter, right? But at the same time, I can't disagree with Treating Sheet when it comes to Poetic Flacko. O'Shea Duke Jackson. A lot of people are upset with O'Shea Duke Jackson because of things that he say, right? And I know I have disagreements with O'Shea Duke Jackson's on certain topics, right? But I can't disagree with O'Shea Duke Jackson when it comes to Poetic Flacko. You see, and let me give you an example. You see, if an African American were to go to an African country and set up shop, social media shop, and start talking about all the degenerate shit happening in any particular country. And I'm not just talking about complaining about customer service, complaining about, you know, a few things here and there, maybe being somewhat of a weird ass passport bro, something like that, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about setting up shop and making it their business to talk about all the low-hanging fruit within any African country as an outsider, right? But making a ton of money off of it. Imagine if an African American went to Nigeria and started talking about all the nasty debauchery, the low-hanging, the criminals, and just painted all Nigeria with that picture. Imagine an African American making hundreds of thousands of US dollars in Africa talking shit about the criminal elements of African countries, the low-hanging fruit in African countries. Imagine that. Continental Africans would be upset, as they're already upset that there are African Americans in the continent criticizing, sometimes justified, sometimes unjustified, criticizing the systems, the governments, and the customer service of certain African countries, right? You see how sensitive Africans are when their cards are being shown, right? So imagine if an African American did what Poetic Flacko is doing in America against African Americans. Imagine if there was a Poetic Flacko, an American version of Poetic Flacko in South Africa. And the only thing he talked about was he went and he talked about the Americana gang over here in the slums. He talked about the violence in the slums. He highlighted and animated the violence in the slums. He interviewed all the gang members in the slums. He made sure he highlighted the most dangerous, degenerate individuals in South Africa. What if he did that and made millions of dollars? What if an American did that and made millions of dollars and highlighted and glorified it? What if they did that? What if an American went to Ethiopia, right? And stuck his nose in the tribal issues in Ethiopia and monetized the tribal differences in Ethiopia and talked about it for years constantly? What if an African American went to Ethiopia and did that? What if an African American went to Nigeria, right, and monetized the grievances between the Hausa, the Fulani, the Igbos, and the Yoruba? What if they made their whole YouTube channel about Hausa, Fulani, Igbos, and Yoruba and their differences and how they fight each other and their historical disagreements, and they amplified it and he monetized it and he agitated it and he created rifts that were already, he created further rifts there? What if he did that and smiled and laughed and then tried to scam the local people in the African country to pay him money? What if an American did that, right? What if African American went to Kenya and talked trash about the tribes in Kenya, right? Talk trash about the crime in Kenya, highlighted and amplified the crimes and the gangs in Kenya, highlighted and amplified the lack of development and this and that in different African countries. How mad would the whole continent of Africa be if an African American went over there to exploit the lowest elements of society for monetary gain and became rich because of it? And then while becoming rich, continue to scam on top of that. What if that was the case? So if that's the case, right? Because we already know how sensitive Africans are when an African American says anything critical about Africa. Anything. Okay? You can imagine that. So how do you think African Americans feel when you got somebody like Poetic Flacko, who sided with white supremacy to exploit the lowest vibrational elements of our black community and made hundreds of thousands of dollars, agitated and created rifts between individuals and made hundreds of thousands of dollars, pretended like he cared about the black people and the black victims of America and made hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then tried to exploit on top of that and try to make another $100,000 to teach you how he made $100,000 exploiting African Americans or exploiting African American drama, exploiting African American trauma. Poetic Flacko is greedy. Poetic Flacko is fake. He's not real. His personality is not genuine. He's trash. He's garbage. He's a parasite. And I don't even know what his audience looked like. His audience, did he trick his audience into believing that he was an American? Did he trick, how did Poetic Flacko manage to get to the position that he is in? And I think it's because he attached himself to the white man. Poetic Flacko on his own doesn't really have too much talent. He could talk a little bit. He fumbles over his words a lot. He's extra animated, but this shit ain't crisp. But he's feeling himself because he made a couple bucks talking about a white supremacist. He didn't talk about the white supremacists because he cared about black people and about black people fighting against white supremacy. He talked about white supremacists because he saw the dollar. He saw some money. He's not real. He's not genuine. He's the type of African that's in America that I won't sit there and defend or protect. I'm on everybody's side against people like Poetic Flacko. People who come to America, exploit our trauma, our drama, to enrich themselves, but they're not really with us. You see, there's some Africans who make African content, who make African American content, but we know they're with us. You know, they one of us. They're part of us. You can feel when they talk that they care. You can feel that the words that they come out their mouths is genuine. But Poetic Flacko, not a one word that come out that dude's mouth is genuine. He's a coward. That's one, right? He's weak. That's one, right? He's very soft. And I think he may be gay. He's firing off all kind of indicators that he's gay. I'm just saying. I can't prove it. But he's showing all the signs that he's gay. Which is fine, right? But he's pretending like he's not, right? But you can see he's a little he's puffy, right? And I just think that people like him should be ostracized from our communities. If you're not going to be genuine about your protest, then I don't want to hear your protest. I don't want to hear, I want him talking about that black boy that got killed by them white people. I want to hear him talk about it because he don't care. I don't want him to talk about Chud the Bearder because he doesn't really care. He don't care about none of that shit. Poetic Flacko cares about his own pockets. That's the only thing he cares about. Poetic Flacko don't talk about Liberia. Poetic Flacko don't talk about the drugs in Liberia. Poetic Flacko don't talk about the degenerateness in Liberia. Poetic Flacko don't talk about Liberia at all. But he's from Liberia. But he got all the nerve to talk about us, African Americans. All the nerves. But who's giving him money? Who's paying him? Who is his subscribers? Is it African Americans or is it a bunch of white people that like watching black people like him talk about other black people? As he's a tool for white supremacy. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Poetic Flacko, he's a disunifier. He's not a unifier. He's not a Pan-African. Yo, I don't know why O'Shea calling this dude a Pan-African. O'Shea, don't ever call that dude Flacko a Pan-African. That's disrespectful. He's nowhere close to Pan-Africanism. He is more adjacent to a coon, a European, an Afropean. He is the enemy. That's what Poetic Flacko is. He's the enemy, not a unifier. He's a disunifier. Everything about him is negative towards the black community. Everything. There's nothing good about that guy at all. He's not proven to have one good cell in his goddamn body. He's that nasty, disgusting friend that agitates and starts fights and then hides in the crowd. That's him. We know people like him. There's African Americans that's like him. And I don't like them motherfuckers either. All right? But Poetic Flacko, specifically, the special case, he is most definitely. If you're going to, and you know I don't like that word tether because it's derogatory. But, I'm going to make a special goddamn exception. All right? And no. I'm not slipping over to your side. I've always been like this. I keep equal smoke for everybody. Poetic Flacko is a disunifier. Therefore, he's my enemy. If there was somebody who can fit and meet the definition at which they say it means, right, he would fit the bill. You won't hear me saying it, but he most definitely is one of those based off what it's supposed to mean. And he should be excommunicated from the black community. He shouldn't be allowed to monetize black drama and black trauma. And we should do something about it. So anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.